Call a Policy and Priorities Committee meeting to order for Tuesday, July 14th. To approve the agenda, please. Councilor Norberg.
Thank you, Mayor, that the July 14th, 2026 Policies and Priorities Committee meeting agenda be adopted as presented.
Seconder, Councilor Hoffman. All in favor? Carried. Adoption of minutes for June 16th, 2026 Policies and Priorities Committee meeting minutes. Recommendation, please. Councilor Noxana.
That the June 16th, 2026 Policies and Priorities Committee meeting minutes be adopted as presented.
Seconder, Councilor Norberg. Any errors or omissions from council? Staff?
No.
Thank you. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Any business arising from the minutes, council? Staff?
No.
Thank you. Okay, on the delegation, the Ministry of Forest Northeast Wildfire Risk Reduction, Dustin and Victoria to provide council with an overview of the Ministry of Forest Crown Land Wildfire Risk Reduction Program in the Northeast region and potential future wildlife risk reduction projects in the Tumbler Ridge vicinity. Welcome. The floor is yours.
Perfect. I can always, want me to share? Or? Here, I can share. Can you guys see any of this?
Not yet. You can go ahead and share your presentation.
Okay, let me get this into presenter mode here. Oh. Let me go here. And I'll get this going. Can you guys see that?
Yep, sure can.
Sorry, I gotta go back.
Yeah.
There we go.
One more. Two more. Yeah.
Can you guys hear me and see the presentation?
We can, yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so we're presenting on behalf of the Northeast Wildfire Recovery Team with the Ministry of Forests. I'm Dustin Anderberg. I'm the Land and Resource Specialist with the program, and we have Victoria Dyduch, who's the Wildfire Risk Reduction Coordinator. So we have currently planned for wildfire risk reduction. In 2026, we completed Moberly Lake hillside burn, as well as the Tumbler Ridge, part of the Flatbed Creek area burn. So you can see also we have highlighted spots that we're talking about. Victoria put some nice stars on the map so you can kind of orientate yourself with the projects that I'm talking about. But furthermore, we have planned for 2026. We have a Chetwynd Airport split up into two pieces. That's Kiskatinaw, Tumbler Ridge, Flatbed Creek is a manual treatment, and then also some work up in Port Nelson. And then looking forward into next year, fiscal year, we're planning on doing some work in Port Nelson, Chetwynd. We're looking at Doki siding, as well as Prophet River, more so in Tumbler Ridge with the industrial area, and then southwest portions, and then a fuel break in Chetwynd as well. So how we kind of work, if you were to think in terms of risk reduction, how it looks. So prescription to implementation. So number one, you're going to start with the actual prescription development, and I'm going to go further into this later on in the presentation. And then you do kind of a mix of both 2 and 3. You do archaeological assessment, and this is usually done in hand with the engagement First Nation consultation. So we actually do consultation with people in Ministry of Forests, as well as whoever parties are that are involved. Then we have tenure applications. So this can look at having Section 52s if we're going to be actually utilizing timber that we're taking from the risk reduction piece. We might actually have some cutting permits, stuff like that. So anything to do in permits in terms of what's going on with that specific prescription, we will actually have to apply ourselves for the tenures as well. After all that's complete, we will do up a contract development, which ends up going to BC bid. If we have successful bidders, then we post it, award it, and then we go to contract implementation. Once it's completed, we end up monitoring it for the next 5 to 10 plus years to see how the progress, and if there's any maintenance that's required, or if there's any further prescription that needs to be completed on the area. Let me know if you guys have any questions mid presentation as well.
Okay.
So here's some potential risk reduction treatments. So I'll start from the top left. So we have cultural and prescribed fire, which is kind of stuff like you see in Soto, and then also the Flatbed Creek. So you can see prescribed fire. We are kind of bringing back more so on the landscape quite a bit, which is good to see. And then more so you might see pruning, chipping, and mulching. Pile and burning, this usually takes place in the fall or winter months. So Sometimes this will also sit for over a year. So just like with Chetwynd, we're kind of talking about our piles to burn. Our contract extends into next winter, in anticipation for some fuels to actually dry out and allow those piles to be able to be burnt for that treatment. Then you can actually see this is a fuel reduction treatment, manual, mechanical. So the before and after, it's not always this perfect, but it's just an example of what you can actually see in terms of a treatment from a picture standpoint. So I'll touch base on the provincial strategic threat analysis. This is kind of how we determine our areas of interest and what kind of comes from. This is the drives the risk reduction behind it. So we'll do an actual provincial strategic threat analysis that leads to our wildfire and wildland urban interface wildfire risk reduction plan, and that looks at areas of interest, leads to risk assessments, and then fuel management units, and then from that we determine the wildfire risk reduction treatment. So the last one was done in 2021, and includes different areas, and also, sorry, it's going to move this from my notes. 2021 consistently assesses and maps some areas of communities, infrastructure, if there's any natural resources that are involved with it, and we do it across BC. And so it combines factors that basically, if a fire starts up, what that fire density is going to look like, what the head of the fire is going to look like, the intensity under extreme fire weather, spotting potential from the fire, as well as what it's going to look like when it actually hits the urban interface. And so from this, we produce a threat rating from 0 to 100 that's mapped province-wide. And this threat level shows in color, so you can see from green being low, and then red is the high and extreme. And anything above a class 7 is what we determine as high priority, and that's what we look at to determine wildfire risk reduction mitigation. And so this involves local governments, land managers, and a bunch of different government organizations that work in collaboration to get this stuff done. So snapshot in time as well. So just because the PSTA, I'll call it, was done in 2021, we don't look at any future changes in fuels and land use as well as climate. So this is just kind of a shot in the year that it does it, and then we go off that. So we'll need further assessments later on in the future. Let me know too if you wanted to add anything to it, Victoria. So also from that, this is one of the units, three of the units we came up with. So Tumbler Ridge project areas. So we have Flatbed Creek, also known as Lions Campground. We've been involved in 2 sections on this. They did a test burn, which you'll see further on in one small area. Then we completed an actual full-on burn in one of the treatment areas early this spring. And then we have a Tumbler Ridge Southwest manual treatment, and then we also have the Tumbler Ridge industrial area. So Flatbed or Lions Campground. So this total area is 37 hectares. The project is to reduce risk on the west side of Tumbler Ridge, adjacent to the municipal campground, and parallels the primary access or egress route. And so you can see it's broken up into different units. Unit 1, it was just the prescribed burn unit for 2025. So that's kind of where they did their test burn to see how it was going to act in there. 2026 was the burn unit that we did in this early spring. And then 2020, unit 5, sorry, is going to be manual treated in a contract that we have posted out right now. And then it's going to be prepped for burning in the 2027, 2028, as well as next year. And then some of the treatment types, we have manual thinning, pruning, pile and burning, and also prescribed burning. And there's overlap with the community forest as well. So we focus on reducing any dense grass, ladder fuels, to drive fast-moving, high-intensity fires. Make it slower, make it easier for firefighters to actually action that fire and stay safe. Yeah, and we wanted to put a plug for Brian Robinson. He has been a large contributor in this treatment. He led much of the community engagement, helped us, and BCWS, BC Wildfire Service, liaise with the Tumbler Ridge Fire Department, social media, supported the fire effects monitoring, which is what Victoria has also been part of on this project, something we call a FEMO, so fire effects monitor, and lots of little things that came up along the way. So you can see here, this is an example of what happened at the burn this spring at the Lions Campground. And so you can see a pre-burn on the left there, followed by the actual burn taking place in May. And then what Victoria is involved with as well is in that kind of middle section where you can see she actually assesses what was burnt pre and post. So you can actually see what kind of fuels were consumed during that burn. And then on the top right, you can see that's what it looks like now in July. And then that bottom photo shows what's going to be treated in the future. So that's the manual treatment area. So it was completed in May 15th. Total burned area was 16 hectares. Actual burnt area is 15 hectares. The planned burn area, 16. Burn was achieved with greater than 50% consumption of 1 hour, 10 hour, and 100-hour fuels, give or take, depending on the area. And then less than 75% consumption of herb layer. So, and then also some aspen that were actually dying came down safely during the burn. So it kind of took care of a couple problem trees in the area as well. Here's our Tumbler Ridge Southwest manual treatment. So it's anticipated for the 2027-2028 fiscal year, roughly about 12 hectares southwest of Tumbler Ridge and directly south of the flatbed treatment unit, or the lines bed treatment unit. And so it builds on the existing risk reduction work. Some of the characteristics of this site, so it's got steep west-facing slopes. It's a mixture of low-density spruce, cottonwood, and pine. It's got a high-density understory, so roughly about 35% dead. And the proposed treatment for this is thinning, pruning, pile and burn to reduce ladder fuels and crown fire risk. So this also overlaps with the Tumbler Ridge Community Forest. Here's our industrial area. So you can see it's broken up into 2 units. This is anticipated for the same thing, 2027-2028 fiscal year. 2 treatment areas, totaling 26 hectares in both. A, 19 hectares, B, 7. And it's south of Tumbler Ridge along the Highway 52, covering south and west side of Tumbler Ridge Industrial Park. It's got a mixture of pine, mixed spruce, cotton, and larch. Maybe a candidate for mechanical harvesting. And the high density understory with heavy pine blowdown kind of drives this as well. And proposed treatment for this area, thinning, pruning, pile and burning to reduce ladder fuels and crown risk. And this also overlaps with the Tumbler Ridge Community Forest. So if harvesting occurs, the community forest will have first rights to the timber. Yeah, so there's our contact information if you have any questions. Melanie couldn't be with us here today, but myself and Victoria, Melanie's our integrated investment specialist, and she's quite heavily involved with the risk reduction program. And then we also have Sherry Connolly, who's works alongside with Victoria out of the Dawson office, and she's the wildfire risk reduction coordinator for Dawson office, or Victoria's out of Port St. John. And then the wildfire prevention officer is Enrico Fionda, and he works for BC Wildfire Service. So if you want, we can click on, you guys can watch the YouTube video. If you guys got time, I can load it up right now. Let me know. But there you go. You guys can dive into what we do, and I believe that's the end of the slide.
All right. Well, thank you very much for presenting to council and updating us in regards to some of the fire reduction you have done within the area of the community, especially down around the flatbed area. Council, any questions, comments? Council Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Dustin, for your presentation. It was great. I did have a question about the manual harvest treatment. It looks like I'm aware, I was on the community forest for quite a while. It looks like the treated area, you're removing the wood, the fuels from that area, is that correct?
So with a manual treatment, you're going in and it's basically just by bodies. So there's no actual mechanical, so there's no harvesting done. It's just basically a bunch of bodies with chainsaws that go in, and they basically are thinning, they're falling, and then they pile everything up. They might bring in a chipper if feasible, but usually it's just them going in with chainsaws and brush saws, and then a lot of just intensive labor basically. And there's no mechanical, so the removing of wood, not for the manual treatment.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no merchantable timber being removed from the site. Everything is staying on site, and the fuel hazard is being abated that way through typically pile and burning. And then one thing to note as well, all of our areas overlap with the Tumbler Ridge Community Forest, as Dustin had mentioned, and we do have a letter of agreement in place with them as well for at least the flatbed treatment that's already taken place.
Okay, thanks for that, Victoria and Dustin. So my question is the leftover wood that's there, like it's still there, it's still flammable. I'm aware that, you know, the low brush is what's really flammable, what helps the fire move. But is it more flammable that it's when it's cut on the ground, and at what point would it be like waterlogged to, you know, not be less flammable? My question is about the fuels that are left over. What does that mean to us?
Sorry, I had a hard time hearing it. Did you hear any?
No,
you
that
able
was
to
that
answer,
came
Victoria?
through really choppy there. Are you able to repeat
Sure.
the question?
Yeah, I could
Sorry.
I could probably be more succinct now that I've said it once. So with the leftover wood, how will that affect our wildfire preparedness? Like, is it more at risk because of there's the wood that's on the ground and it's dry? Or at what point in time will it be fine because it's waterlogged and it increases their wildfire resiliency?
So yeah, any wood that's taken down, like say you go through and you trim it. Think of like even we'll split it into two different types of wood. So you can have your large diameter wood, say anything over 6 centimeters, and then you have your anything under that, right? So your fine debris. It's all going to get piled, and even if you have to cut down, say blow down that's already down or waterlogged, like you said, or if you have to cut down any trees in terms of reducing the stems per hectare, they're still going to buck those up and pile them, and then we'll come in either if it's able to that same winter or the following winter and burn it. So that reduces the burning, reduces the fire risk once you're done with the piles. Does that answer the question there?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I'm just I don't know, but layman's thought of, you know, if there's dry wood on the ground, it's more flammable, right? But so yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. One more.
Yep.
Okay. So I do have one more question about treatments plan in the future. I appreciate you showcasing what we're going to do at the industrial park, the next one at Flatbed, and just across the way. But looking at the threat assessment that you did, kind of southwest of town, like along Mackenzie towards the highway, there's still a bit of high-risk area there, kind of behind our public work yard and stuff, and maybe the industrial park. Is there any plans there? Because like we do have quite a bit of some industrial activity in that area that you know, maybe creating sparks, what have you.
Nothing like we haven't, not in the next year. Potentially, maybe that comes up in the future, but everything that we pull is just basically from that provincial strategic threat analysis, and that's just, and then determining all that stuff. That also brings into the subject budget, so we can't just treat every area that we can see in the same 2 years. We also have to work with the budget in terms of what can we treat this year, what can we treat next year, kind of deal. And so that's why that also drives a bit of direction that we go in terms of fuel management treatment. So not saying it's not going to be in the future, but just in the next 2 year window, that's not pulled from the area.
Okay.
I will add to that too, that if there are specific areas of Crown land near the community that the community does have concerns about, is to please send us an email. Our contact information is on the presentation. And those are areas that we can look into in the future to get prescriptions developed if it's on Crown land, if it fits that high risk area, that type of thing. So we do partner with communities. We do want to be community driven. If there are specific areas that the community has concerns about, please bring those forward.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, don't be afraid to send us an email, call us, anything. We'll happily look at stuff and take everything into consideration.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from council? So the last time we did the overview of the area was in 2021. Do we have another date when it would be redone?
I'm not 100% sure. I haven't been part of the provincial threat analysis yet. Victoria, do you know more on those, when they conduct them or when they're kind of?
I have heard rumblings that we are due for another one soon. I would hope in the next couple years. I'm not part of that team, that provincial team that handles that, so I don't have an answer today. But I have heard rumblings that we're due for another.
Yeah.
Okay, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that comment. I mean, it was something this council really pushed government to redo it. and I think it needs to be redone. One obviously from some of the prescriptions that have been done, obviously will show, but also the fire that we had in 2023 will also show that fuel reduction on the north side of Tumber Ridge. And I think that's important to see what that looks like now that that fire has come through there. And if there's anything that pops up on the map that may be needing done since the fire went through there, there may be stuff that's closer to the edge of the community that needs to be done because the fire stopped in a marshy area, which was a benefit for our community that night. But yeah, I just asked, and we'll have a conversation with the Ministry of Forest when we see him at the UBCM. But yeah, I was just curious if he knew a date or not. All right, anything else from council? All right, well, again, thank you very much for coming in and presenting in front of council and showing us what the work has been done by yourselves and your partnerships with our Fire Smart coordinator as well as BC Wildfire Service and the community as a whole with the engagement. Last year's test burn, I thought, was well done and explained well. We were invited as elected official for anybody that can make it, and definitely was explained on how it works and why they do it and when they won't do it. And then seeing this year's results of the extended burn at Flatbed Campground, I think that's important, especially when we have a campground below a hill, that the hill rises right into our community. So thank you very much for what you guys are doing, and thanks for the presentation.
Thank you very much for having us. Yeah. And yeah, please, if you guys have any areas of interest, reach out and talk to us. If you guys want any further information, don't be afraid to contact us or reach out.
Okay, and we will. Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You as well.
Okay, moving on to reports. Women's Golf Week 2026. Report dated July 14, 2026 from the Facilities Manager regarding Women's Golf Week 2026. Recommendation, Councillor Noxena.
The council receives this report for discussion.
Seconder, Councillor Dyduch. All in favor? Carried. Councillor Noxena.
Thank you. I just wanted to give a shout out that I really appreciate this report, seeing that we had over a quarter of participants were new to golfing. Be able to come and participate in Golf Week is huge. Definitely some seniors, some juniors were able to take advantage of this. I'm hopeful that we can continue this in future years, seeing the success of this year.
Thank you. Councillor Dyduch.
I'm just curious if we wanted to move forward with this, like ongoing, do we need to move this to a regular meeting to approve for the 2027 year, or do we just wait for them to bring it forward?
Ms. Scott, I can't remember what the motion was in the previous. I thought it was continuous.
I believe it was, but I will have to go back and review that.
Yeah, I think we actually made a motion, so we just need to, we'll just confirm that that motion is, staff will, but I believe it was to continue it. And this was just to bring back the numbers that were used for 2026, which appreciate Councillor Noxena's comments. You know, it's $1,286.50 is the amount that the district gave with the 50% reduction, which, you know, talks about bringing locals to the community. So, I mean, it's an attractant, and it gets our ladies and our female youth and children out golfing. I think it's great. Any other discussion? Okay, moving on to the district-owned housing unit policies. Report dated July 14, 2026 from the Facilities Manager regarding district-owned housing unit policy. Recommendation, please. Councillor Dyduch.
That TR 58 district-owned housing units policy be brought forward to a regular council meeting for adoption.
Seconder, Councillor Norberry. Discussion? Anything is missing or needs added would be the time to do it today. Everybody's good? Okay, call the question. All in favor? Carried. Highlights from the April 29, 2026 Let's Talk. Report dated July 14, 2026 from the Executive Assistant to the CEO, Mayor, and Council regarding highlights from the April 29, 2026 Let's Talk. Recommendation, please. Councillor Noxena.
The council receives this report for information.
Seconder, Councillor Norberry. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Council Administration 2026 Budget to Actual Review. Report dated July 14, 2026 from the Director of Finance regarding Council Administration 2026 Budget to Actual Review as June 30th. Recommendation, please. Councillor Noxena.
The council received the June 30th, 2026 Council Administration Budget to Actual Report for information.
Seconder, Councillor Norberry. Sorry, Councillor Norberry. Any discussion? Councillor Noxena.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that I really appreciate this report. It's really great having this very thorough breakdown of where we're at for the year.
Thanks. Any other discussion? Make same, more or less same comment. You know, we asked for something and it comes forward, and I think it was fairly, one, it was easy to read and where we're at in regards to our budget and what we've spent and stuff like that, whether it's memberships or travel. And I just, you know, I appreciate staff spending the time to make sure that is in our agenda. I think it's important for council to have a pulse on that budget for when we approve different things, whether it's different travel or different things that out of the council initiative budget. It really shows where we're at when we make those decisions. So I think staff did a great job of bringing it forward. Okay, call the question. All in favor? Carried. Take a resolution to a closed meeting, please. Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. That the July 14th, 2026 Policies and Priorities Committee meeting be closed to the public according to Section 91I from the Community Charter to permit discussions about I, the receipt of advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose.
Seconder. Councilor Noxana, sir. Oh, my mic cut off.
Thursday.
It must be. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Take a 5-minute recess.